Thank you very much. A warm welcome to everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to share our work here. I'm really excited. Can you please, here. Okay, I'm a bit, yeah. So with Bence Sagvari, my colleague behind here, we are the PIs for the Hungarian partnership of the European Social Survey for over a decade. And we are also responsible for the Hungarian participation in the ESS Kronos, which is a panel project related to the European Social Survey, and that we will talk about today. And we are also partners to a number of experimental research initiatives like push-to-web survey, cognitive interviews related to the ESS. So a few words about the ESS. It's the European Social Survey, which many of you might know, is the largest European social science research infrastructure. It has been going on for over 2 decades now. What is important about it is the map, so you can see which countries participate. There are 15 countries that participated all along since 2002. And there are other countries which participated in 1 to 10 rounds of the survey research. And what is very important here is that it applies a strict random probability sample, and it has a very, very rigorous methodology. So the golden goose is that it is comparative in space and time. So on the back of the European Social Survey, 3 years ago, we started to recruit a panel, probability-based panel in 12 countries, and that's the other map. And on the other map, you can see the countries which participate in this panel survey, which is called Kronos, Cross-National Online Survey Panel, which is something really new, and there are big hopes with it. So that's why we are trying to present them here. There have been several waves of survey conducted already, and still many in the pipeline. And the shares you can see there is the recruitment shares. I mean, the share of people who finally filled out the survey compared to those who were fielded back in the round 10 of the European Social Survey. Hungary, sorry, one slide back. What is specific is that it was recruited in round 10, which was during and after COVID. So several countries had to go online or self-completion. This includes Sweden and Austria and partly Hungary. So Hungary is the only country where face-to-face survey and self-completion survey served as a recruitment for the panel. So it gives us an excellent opportunity to compare the panels, sub-panels, which have been recruited through face-to-face and through self-completion. So here you can see the entire process, how face-to-face started. The response rate was 40%, and from that survey, we recruited a very low number of respondents to the panel, 317. It was really very discouraging. So we had to field another survey, which was a self-completion survey using the same methodological requirements. And actually, we ended up in 440 panel members. So altogether, we have a panel composed of self-completion and of face-to-face recruitments with 757. And then the first wave of this panel survey was filled out by 462. So, and this is the basis. And I give the floor to Bence, and he will show. Okay, so the question is that whether the mode of the recruiting probability-based panel via self-completion or interviewer-assisted survey matters in terms of the demographic composition of the panel, the responses in general, and specifically we will focus on responses concerning survey attitudes because that can be relevant in this context.
Okay. Thank you. And in the next few slides, I will give you a short under the hood snapshot of the demographic composition of the 2 recruitment modes. Here you read this table from top to the bottom. At the top, you can see the Hungarian latest census data. And basically, you need to compare the last row, which is the final composition of the panel. And as you can see, in terms of gender, we always had a female overrepresentation. Our fieldwork agency did a relatively or very bad job in recruiting over recruiting females in the ESS face-to-face data collection, but at the end it was mitigated, and we ended up with a relatively balanced gender distribution. In terms of age, the picture is a little more messy, but again, if you compare the last and the first and the last rows, at the end, the age distribution became quite normal compared to for the whole population data. Although, as you can see, there was some in the self-completion, the recruitment of younger generations was much less successful than recruiting older, which is an interesting finding. And similarly, some different trends were observable for the face-to-face data collection. The largest gaps and the largest, the biggest bias is by the level of education. I think this is there's nothing new in it for those of you who are recruiting panels. But it's interesting that there's a very visible underrepresentation of lower educated individuals, basically those who have primary education at the end. And the two recruitment modes worked differently. So with the face-to-face, we did a better job in recruiting lower educated people, and with a worse job recruiting people with tertiary education. But this trend was reversed for the self-completion recruitment mode, and as a result of it, at the end, we did. The distribution became a little more balanced. But overall, it worked, putting together the two recruitment modes. In the next step, what we did is that we tried to focus on the potential impact of recruitment mode on all survey responses and all questions in the Kronos Wave 1 data set. So basically, we checked whether the recruitment mode had any effect on the outcomes of the variables. We did separate analysis for ordinal, binary variables, and scale variables. And as you can see, the number is not here, but 88%, so literally 90% of the variables in the data set has no significant relationship with the recruitment mode. There are a few variables that showed significant difference, but the pattern is very messy, so we cannot really put any theoretical explanation behind it. And also the effect size is relatively moderate, so we wouldn't call it a very serious issue. The first wave of the Kronos dataset also included information on people's attitudes towards surveys, and we did separate analysis for the two recruitment modes. And the good news is that by and large, they have a very or rather positive attitudes making surveys, which is not a surprise because they agreed to participate in the panel. And also the self-completion people, so those who were recruited by the self-completion method, they're a little bit more positive. We might call it a revenge because Vera did not mention, but those who came from the face-to-face normal ESS recruitment, they get no incentive at the beginning. So participating in the ESS was free for them. By those who came from the self-completion track, they were incentivized from the first moment. Of course, being into Kronos, it was always incentivized. So a few conclusions. So basically, we think that ESS Kronos panel provided a relatively well-balanced sample, and all the deviations that were there in the different recruitment modes were more or less smoothed at the end. So from this point, it works. But it's a big challenge, as it was shown in Vera's slide, that the recruitment rates or the conversion rates, or I don't know how to call it, so of the Kronos panel varied from 10 to 57% according in different European countries, which is a quite big future challenge. So how we can come up with a unified, homogeneous European sample. Most survey responses were not affected by the recruitment mode, which is a good thing, which was a proof for us that we can put together different subsamples recruited by different methods. And at the end, we think that, and the ESS also thinks that probably this is the way forward. So it might work in the future as more and more countries will join, and there will be a fine-tuned method applicable for countries based on their special survey environments. And I think I was able to finish by time. So thank you very much. 5 more seconds. All the data is freely available but on the European Social Survey website, and there's also the data is also available for the Kronos. So everything that I've talked about is online. Thank you.